Have you ever experienced a strange moment where you go somewhere, sit somewhere, or enter a place and suddenly you feel like you have been there before? Maybe you're visiting a building for the first time, or walking through a street you have never seen, but your mind keeps telling you that this place feels familiar. This strange psychological feeling is called déjà vu. The word comes from the French language, and it literally means already seen. Scientists say that almost 97% of people experience déjà vu at least once in their lives, and many people experience it multiple times. The feeling usually lasts only a few seconds, but during that moment it feels very real and very powerful. Because of this mysterious experience, many theories have appeared over time. Some people believe déjà vu happens because parallel universes exist. According to this idea, another version of you in another universe may have already experienced that moment, and somehow that memory reaches your mind. Others believe déjà vu might be connected to past lives or reincarnation, suggesting that your soul may have lived a similar moment before. But when scientists studied this phenomenon carefully, they found that the explanation may actually lie inside the human brain itself. Researchers discovered that déjà vu can often be explained by the way our brain processes perception and memory. And according to scientific research, there are three major explanations behind this mysterious feeling. The first explanation is called split-second perception. The second explanation involves something known as the hologram theory of memory. And the third explanation is related to errors between short-term and long-term memory in the brain. To truly understand why déjà vu happens, we need to explore these explanations step by step. The first scientific explanation behind déjà vu is called split-second perception. To understand this idea, we first need to understand how the human brain processes information. Our brain actually works on two different levels of awareness. The first level is the conscious mind. This is the part of your brain that you actively use when you're thinking, talking, observing, or making decisions. The second level is the unconscious mind. This part of the brain works silently in the background and processes information much faster than the conscious mind. Every second, your unconscious mind is constantly scanning your surroundings. It observes colors, shapes, sounds, movements, and patterns, even when you're not paying attention to them. Now imagine you enter a room for the very first time. The moment you step inside the room, your unconscious mind instantly scans the entire environment. The furniture, the walls, the lighting, and the arrangement of objects. But at that moment, your conscious mind may be distracted. You might be talking to someone, thinking about something else, or simply not focusing on the environment around you. A few moments later, when your conscious mind finally begins to observe the room carefully, your brain suddenly creates a strange feeling. Your mind tells you, "I have seen this before." But what actually happened is very different. Your unconscious mind had already processed the scene a fraction of a second earlier, before your conscious mind became aware of it. This tiny delay between the unconscious perception and conscious awareness creates an illusion inside the brain. Your brain interprets this delay as a memory, even though the event is happening for the first time. That is why the moment feels strangely familiar, even though it is completely new. Scientists believe this tiny delay in perception can sometimes create the powerful sensation we call déjà vu. The second scientific explanation related to déjà vu is often connected to something known as the hologram theory of memory processing. To understand this idea, we first need to understand what a hologram is. A hologram is a special type of three-dimensional image created using patterns of light. One fascinating property of holograms is that even if you break a holographic plate into smaller pieces, each piece can still recreate the entire image, although at a lower resolution. Some neuroscientists believe that the human brain may store memories in a similar way. Instead of storing memories in one single location, the brain spreads information across large networks of neurons. This means that sometimes small fragments of sensory information can trigger the brain to reconstruct a much larger memory pattern. For example, imagine you enter a completely new place. You have never been there before, but maybe the lighting in the room is similar to a place you visited years ago. Or perhaps the smell in the air, the color of the walls, or the arrangement of furniture reminds your brain of something from the past. Even though the environment is new, one tiny detail may match a pattern already stored in your memory. When this happens, your brain quickly reconstructs a larger memory pattern around that small detail. For a brief moment, your brain mistakenly believes that the entire situation is familiar. But in reality, Only a small piece of the experience was similar to something you encountered before. Your brain simply filled in the rest automatically. This reconstruction process can create the powerful illusion that the entire moment has already happened before. And this illusion is what we experience as déjà vu. The third scientific explanation behind déjà vu is related to how the brain stores and processes memories. To understand this idea, we first need to understand two important types of memory in the human brain: short-term memory and long-term memory. Short-term memory works like a temporary storage system. It holds information for a short period of time, usually for a few seconds or minutes. For example, when you hear a phone number and remember it just long enough to dial it, that information is being stored in your short-term memory. Long-term memory, on the other hand, is where the brain stores important information for long periods of time. This can include memories from childhood, knowledge you learned in school, or important life experiences. Normally, when you experience something new, your brain first stores that information in short-term memory. After a short period of time, the brain decides whether that information is important enough to be stored permanently. If it is important, the brain transfers it into long-term memory. But sometimes a small error happens during this process. Instead of passing through short-term memory first, the information may accidentally move directly into long-term memory. When this happens, the brain treats the new experience as if it is already an old memory. So when you see something for the first time, your brain mistakenly believes that it already exists in long-term memory. This confusion makes your brain feel that the moment has happened before, and that sudden feeling is what we experience as déjà vu. Now that we have explored the three scientific explanations behind déjà vu, the next question is, why does the brain create this illusion in the first place? The answer lies in how incredibly complex the human brain is. Every second, your brain receives an enormous amount of information from your senses. Your eyes detect light and movement, your ears pick up sounds, your nose identifies smells, and your skin senses temperature and touch. All of this information is constantly being sent to the brain at the same time. To handle this massive amount of data, the brain must process information extremely quickly. In fact, the brain often uses shortcuts to help it understand the world faster. These shortcuts are called cognitive processing shortcuts. Most of the time, these shortcuts work perfectly and help us react quickly to our environment. But occasionally, these shortcuts can create small errors in perception or memory. Déjà vu is believed to be one of these small errors. Instead of representing a real past memory, déjà vu may simply be a moment when the brain briefly confuses a new experience with an old memory. Researchers have also discovered that déjà vu happens more frequently in young adults, especially between the ages of 15 and 25. This may be because the brain is highly active during these years, constantly forming and reorganizing new memory connections. Interestingly, déjà vu can also occur more often when people are tired, stressed, or distracted. When the brain is under these conditions, small processing mistakes become more likely. So what feels like a mysterious or supernatural experience is often just a small moment of confusion inside the brain's complex memory system. And that confusion creates the powerful sensation that a moment has already happened before. Even though scientists have studied déjà vu for decades, the experience still remains partly mysterious. Researchers understand many of the brain processes that might cause it, but they still cannot explain every single case. What makes déjà vu so fascinating is how powerful the feeling can be. For a brief moment, your mind becomes completely convinced that the present moment has already happened before. You may feel like you know exactly what will happen next, even though you actually don't. And then, just as quickly as it appears, the feeling disappears. This strange experience reminds us how complex and mysterious the human brain truly is. The brain contains around 86 billion neurons, constantly sending signals and forming memories every second of our lives. With such an incredibly complex system, small glitches or overlaps in memory processing are almost inevitable. Déjà vu may simply be one of those tiny glitches, a moment when the brain briefly misfires and creates the illusion of familiarity. But even if science eventually explains everything about déjà vu, the experience will probably always feel magical to us. Because for a few seconds, it feels like time itself has folded in on itself, a moment where the present feels like the past. And that is what makes déjà vu one of the most fascinating mysteries of the human mind. And finally, If you ever experience déjà vu, or if someone tells you that it is because of a past life or something happening in your parallel universe, don't just take their word for it. Instead, share this video with them so they can understand the real scientific explanation behind déjà vu. This way, they won't continue living with any misunderstandings about these fascinating brain phenomena. If you found this video informative and interesting, please support my channel Obermobsrob by hitting subscribe. Remember, knowledge is the best way to clear misconceptions, and understanding your own brain is truly fascinating.